Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So, in just about a couple of months, for all Social Security beneficiaries, you are going to see a pretty substantial increase to what you're currently receiving. However, for many beneficiaries, you're going to have that increase just about cut in half. So, in today's video, we are going to be covering everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into for today. So in just a couple months, starting in January of next year, 2026, for all Social Security beneficiaries, whether you're a retiree, whether you receive SSI, or whether you receive disability benefits, you're going to be receiving an increase of right around 2.8%. However, whatever this increase ends up being for many beneficiaries, that increase is going to be cut pretty much in half. So in today's video, once again, we are going to be covering everything that you need to know with this article, starting out from AOL. They say that why millions could lose out on Social Security COLA adjustments next year. So any increase from COLA is going to be hotly awaited by the more than 70 million Americans who annually receive benefits from Social Security. Although the announcement was slightly delayed by the government shutdown, the SSA announced a 2.8% increase. This increase will make the 2026 the fifth consecutive year that recipients of Social Security have seen their payouts climb by at least 2.5%, which is a streak that the country hasn't seen since the late 1980s. By all accounts, this sounds really good on paper, as the average worker's monthly benefit should rise by about $56 per month, bringing the average Social Security check to approximately $2,065. Unfortunately, there is something that should have millions of Americans concerned. This number looks good in headlines, but with rising costs for healthcare and housing going up, this small COLA gain might not account for much for millions. In fact, it may not do enough to combat these rising costs, especially those in the medical area. And of course, that is because of the Medicare Part B premium, which right now, although it has not yet been announced, is expected to increase by right around $21.50 per month next year in 2026. So for instance, someone that's receiving, let's say, $45 for the increase, that increase is going to be decreased actually by $21.50, which is going to make it so their COLA increase after the Medicare Part B premium is deducted from their check only right around $25. So they go on here to say that ultimately, the heart of the matter is that for those Americans who receive Medicare Part B premiums, which are expected to jump a whopping 11.5% in 2025 to around $206.50 monthly, up from $185, this COLA increase doesn't amount to much of anything. Consider that for most retirees, these premiums for Medicare Part B are going to be automatically deducted from your future Social Security checks in 2026. What this means is that a sizable portion, if not the entirety, of someone's 2.8% COLA increase will be lost well before any check hits a bank account. Now, there is no way around this, and it's quickly becoming a frightening reality for millions of Americans who rely on Social Security. The situation is basically summed up by saying that as one government benefit rises slightly, another offsets it almost immediately. Now, factor in the fact that 2026 is going to mark the 8th double-digit increase in Medicare Part B premiums in the past 25 years, and it's just disheartening news all around. So although 2.8% all in all is pretty good when you consider past years, it's right about average, you're also at the same time once again going to have the Medicare Part B premium almost cutting in half of what you're receiving for your check next year in 2026. And at the same time, a lot of people are questioning whether 2.8% is even enough. Is that actually what inflation is? We've seen different statistics out there that show inflation is actually 3%. So maybe you should have received a cost of living adjustment at 3% instead of 2.8%. And while that wouldn't have made a huge difference in your increase, it may have been maybe $3 or $4 extra every single month in your check, missing out on these small percentage points over numerous years can leave you missing out on a lot of money if you factor in those small increases not actually coming in over the course of, like, let's say 5 or 10 years. So according to CNBC here, of course, there is a debate on whether the CPIW is actually the correct metric to use for inflation. So they said a Social Security cost of living adjustment of 2.8% will go in effect in 2026, increasing retirement benefits by $56 per month on average, according to the Social Security Administration. And with many older Americans struggling to keep up with rising prices, the moderate adjustment is reigniting a long-standing debate on the calculations that go into the COLA. The size of the latest cost of living adjustment is about average. So out of 51 COLAs that have been put into effect since 1975, the 2026 adjustment ranks at number 29, according to the Senior Citizens League. Yet, just 10% of seniors are happy with the annual COLAs. A recent survey from the nonpartisan senior group found, based on responses from 1,920 adults age 62 or older. So obviously, most people receiving Social Security have not been very happy with the cost of living adjustment that they have been receiving over the past few years. With that said, leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think about the cost of living adjustment next year in 2026 of 2.8%? In your eyes, is it enough to actually keep up with the rising prices that we have seen over the past year? And what about the past COLAs this year of 2.5%? Did you think that was enough? Leave your thoughts and comments below. Now they go on here to say that the announcement of the COLA for 2026 prompted some Democrats in Washington to propose a bill to change the index used for the COLAs to the Consumer Price Index for the Elderly, or CPIE, which some contend would better reflect senior spending. Another group of Washington Democrats has pitched increasing benefits by $200 a month for 6 months in 2026 to help beneficiaries cope with elevated consumer prices. They said, quote, "We want the CPIE or 3%, whichever is higher." Shannon Benton, executive director at the Senior Citizens League, said of the group's long-term campaign for more generous COLA. So that is another idea out there, that they use either the CPIW, the CPIE, or 3%. So whichever of those numbers are bigger. So if 3% is a bigger number than the CPIW or the CPIE, they would use 3%. If CPIW is, let's say, 4% and CPIE is 3.5%, and then you have the other figure of 3%. In that case, of course, you would use the 4%. So they have the CPIW, the CPIE, and 3%. Whichever is higher is what they would go with. I think that would be a pretty good idea to keep, beneficiaries finally catching up with inflation. Let's hope, at least. Now they go on here to say that yet the data suggests that switching to a different COLA measure might not result in the substantial boost to benefits that retirees and other beneficiaries hope to see. So based on the current COLA formula, a person who claimed a $1,000 monthly benefit in 2005 would be receiving $1,601 now, according to Sprick's calculations. If instead the COLAs have been indexed to the CPIE over that same period, their benefits in that case would now be $1,622, or just 1% more. So not a whole lot all in all. And another measure that's often suggested for the COLA, the chained CPI, would actually result in a benefit of less, so all the way down to $1,555 now, or 3% less than the current formula. And then, of course, as mentioned before, there's actually a group of Democrats, right around 12 Democrats right now in DC, who are pitching an idea where we have this emergency increase for the next 6 months for all Social Security beneficiaries. This increase would be $200 per month. Again, this would not be permanent. It would not be a lifetime thing. It would just be over the next 6 months. It would result in pretty much a stimulus check of total, $1,200, but spaced out over the course of 6 months, where you'd be receiving an increase in your check for those months of $200. Leave your thoughts and comments below about that. But with that said, that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it, and I will see you in the next one.